2011 was a year of change for WWE. The vibe felt across the company was that they were about to enter a new era. And when you compare 2011 to other years, you notice that they were trying different ideas. Whether it's Twitter, the part-timer era, or pushing new talent, a lot of things about the show felt fresh. You couldn't say the same about 2010. Around the end of the year, the show felt dull and was lacking heat. There wasn't that excitement. However, WWE decided to change things up heading into WrestleMania XXVII. New talent shining, and best of all, The Rock was back. The Rock's arrival in WWE once again really lifted things up. He kickstarted the hype that would carry on into the end of the year, and following this, they were ramping up the WrestleMania card hard. Snooki was brought in for the celebrity thing, The Undertaker and Triple H started a feud, CM Punk and Randy Orton, and the show had the makings of an iconic one in Atlanta. At least on paper. Now, the show obviously had some things that were going against it, and one of those things were the rumors. Rumors, as always for WrestleMania, are ridiculous. WrestleMania XXVII was no different. The major matches were leaked early on. Everyone knew it was going to be John Cena versus The Miz, but some of these rumors need to be talked about because these rumors could have made the card a bit better than it was. So you guys may know that WrestleMania plans are prepared in advance. When you look at internet rumors at the time, some believed there was a chance of a championship unification match between Sheamus and The Undertaker. I personally think it's far-fetched, but at the same time, they were trying to push him hard. Of course, Undertaker versus Wade Barrett is another match, and this was teased at one point. This one makes sense because Barrett was going through the top dog, so naturally he was going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. I could see this happening, especially if they didn't begin the part-timer era here. There was a rumor of the then UFC fighter Brock Lesnar being the special referee, which leads me to the next topic. You guys may remember UFC 121 in October of 2010. Undertaker and Brock had a little moment, and this was supposed to lead to something huge. It was supposed to be the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion against the dead man in the main event of WrestleMania. Just the sound of that, it feels like the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Of course, Brock lost the title at the time, but they were still interested. Brock was making moves behind Dana White, who Vince believed it was in on this, but he ended up turning down the whole thing and even turned down a match with Vince. It's a weird thing that almost had no chance of happening, but just the thought of it would have been special. Because you have to remember, Undertaker in 2011 was not the same as The Undertaker in 2014, and Brock being back in his first match was going to be going all out, I guess. But who knows? With that said, WrestleMania XXVII was held in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia on April 3rd, 2011. 71,617 were in attendance to witness the show of shows, and the buy rate was 1,059,000. This was up from the previous year and had to do with The Rock's return for sure, because at the time, there was a big tease between Rock and Cena. Everyone knew it was going to happen, but was interested in finding out, because WrestleMania was certainly going to lead to that match. The theme songs for the show were Ain't No Grave by Johnny Cash, For Whom the Bells Toll by Metallica, Diamond Eyes by Shinedown, and Ran in the Stars by Tiny Tempa. Kicking off the show, Kerry Hilson performed America the Beautiful. The Rock then came out and he announced that he's come back to Atlanta and WrestleMania. He promised that this will be the most memorable WrestleMania of all time. Well, it was definitely the most memorable in Atlanta. Rock made mention of the electricity around it, and he was right. There was a good vibe around the show. Cena sucks chant intensifies for a bit before they start cheering the Great One's name. They made fun of John Cena for wearing Fruity Pebbles and led the fans in unison chanting Yabba Dabba. It was just what you expect from The Rock trying to hype up the crowd before WrestleMania. The intro for the show was absolute hype. It made you seem like you're watching some of the best storylines out there. And that's the thing with WWE promos and video packages. They make the matches look better, seem better than they are. There's just something about them. Okay, the first match on the show is for the World Heavyweight Championship. Alberto Del Rio challenged Edge for the gold. Del Rio had been pushed super hard in the past few months. WWE thought he could be their international star, and it helped that he came from a wrestling family and was highly touted. His victory at the Royal Rumble was supposed to be the start of something special. Here, Del Rio was dressed with the occasion and came out with a Rolls Royce. Christian was in Edge's corner here. He had some issues with Del Rio, who was the same person that took him out. And do I have to mention that this is when Michael Cole had his own cube? For Edge, this was his third WrestleMania as champion, and unfortunately, it was his last. The Radar Superstar had a nagging neck injury that had to be nursed, and he was barely cleared for this match. The build for the feud had you believing that Del Rio would fulfill his destiny, but I guess WWE saw things differently. So the bell rings, collar and elbow tie-up. Del Rio uses this as a way to provoke Edge, but it didn't end so well for him. The challenger's strategy at this point was clear as day: to target that arm, inflict damage, and lock in the cross arm breaker. It was going to be tough though for Del Rio to isolate Edge's arm, especially as he was so intense at this point, but he used it to his advantage. Christian was rallying the fans on, but it wasn't working. Del Rio was kicking that arm, pulling it, slamming on the announce table, and slowly but surely, he was getting the job done. However, the Mexican aristocrat was overzealous and sent himself through the ropes. Edge with a beautiful somersault showed that he was going to go all out to ensure that he would remain as champion. Back in the ring, Del Rio connects with the arm drag to the injured arm. Big boot from Edge and he's back in it. He was on a roll at this point. Even then, it was easy for Alberto Del Rio to go back to the arm. Nonetheless, Edge hit the Edge-O-Matic for a near fall, and after a roll-up attempt, he found himself in a terrible predicament and had to quickly roll over to the ropes. He goes to the top rope and boom, he connects with the Enziguri. 1, 2, he kicks out. And this was after Rodriguez pushed his foot off the rope. Back in the ring, Edge hits the execution, and he thought it was time for the spear, but Del Rio evades, and Brodus Clay pulls him into the post, and he locks in the cross arm breaker. The champion was writhing in pain. He's stuck in the middle of the ring. He's losing his title, and everyone thought it was over, but Edge had to resort to a pin attempt before locking in the educator. Christian on the outside drops Brodus Clay, and Del Rio was now the one who was hurting. Roll over and boom! Spear. 1, 2, 3. Good match. They told a good story with the arm. Edge sold it well and made it seem like a huge disadvantage. And it also made Del Rio look strong. He obviously lost clean, but he pushed Edge to the limit. And with a little luck, would have been the one walking out as champion. It's a good start to the show. We had The Rock appearing. This match was good. The vibe was good. Well, we all know what happened. The match could have been better, of course, but they didn't have much time here, they didn't have much time. I believe they only wrestled for 9 minutes. Afterwards, Edge and Christian proceeded to destroy Del Rio's car, and he was absolutely embarrassed and demoralized. His Rolls Royce was turned into a joke. In other places, Michael Cole's provoking the King ahead of their match. The next match was between Cody Rhodes and Rey Mysterio. Cody Rhodes, once a confident, bright young man who prioritized his looks over everything else. His world was rocked after Rey Mysterio broke his nose, and it sent him into a dark tailspin that led to the debut of this mask. His confidence was gone, faded, and all Cody had for him at this point was the eagerness to show others what he's gone through with a paper bag. Rey was out here dressed like Captain America, which was pretty cool. Right out of the gate, these two went at it. Cody couldn't even take off his jacket, but his mean streak was on full display here. It was very intense, and Rey's reliance on high-flying style was not helping him at this point. Rhodes was far too much. The pace was slow and the action was rough. He's pulling his face, going for the Alabama Slammer, and Rey did go for something, but this was quickly overlooked as Cody hit the superplex from the top. Crossroads is evaded, and as Cody's going for a slam, Rey finds an opening, and on the outside, he starts fighting back. Back in the ring, it's comeback time. Seated senton, a pin attempt, and he was starting to go after the mask. But as always, Rhodes put a stop to this with a German suplex. One kick, and Rey was going for the 619. Cody evades and goes back to work. He proceeds to remove the knee brace. In 2011, Rey Mysterio without a knee brace is literally a jobber. He tries going after Cody's mask, and things work out for him at this point, and he finally hits the 619 on the exposed face. Boom. The splash doesn't work, but instead Rey counters with a kick and decides to wear the mask. He makes a mockery out of Rhodes, and the momentum was swinging in Rey's favor, and he almost scored the win with a splash, but what brought Rey some fun did the very same for Cody Rhodes, because he used Rey's own knee brace against him and hit the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Nice match. It's not great, but these two worked well with each other. It just feels like they had more to offer, similar to the previous match, and they did. However, here it was all about establishing Cody Rhodes, and Rey did a good job to make sure that he came out of it looking good. Rey really wanted Cody to succeed, and he had the choice of just about anybody to face, and he chose the second-generation wrestler. Afterwards, they had Snoop Dogg doing some auditions, and the WWE Network doesn't have this, but long story short, Zack Ryder was singing that viral Friday song from around that time period, aka the most disliked song on YouTube, and Roddy Piper had enough and dropped him with a coconut. I don't know why I remember this moment more than the other matches. I just do. The next match was an 8-man tag team match. The Core faced The Big Show, Kane, Santino Marella, and Kofi Kingston. Initially, Kozlov was supposed to appear, but he was written off, and so Kofi got the spot. Now, WrestleMania is known for epic culmination of feuds, great athleticism, but here, that's a different story. Big Show whooped Heath Slater's ass. Ezekiel Jackson knocks them down. Kane knocks him down. Barrett Kofi. It was chaotic, and in the ring, Santino connects with the Cobra, and Big Show hits the KO punch. 1, 2, 3. This match is the Core in a nutshell. Starts off strong, fades quickly. There's not much to say here, and the match just happened like that, which is extremely disappointing because these guys deserve to have a much longer match, especially the likes of Wade Barrett, Kofi, Big Show. They really deserve to have something, but it is what it is. Every year, some matches at WrestleMania are cut off due to time, and this match was one of them. The Rock's in the back chanting with Eve. He wanted to show her he's capable of creating a great moment with just about everybody. He's like, oh, anybody. You choose anybody that's behind me, I will make a great moment with them. And he saw Mae Young. He called her the Divasaurus. She wanted the people's strudel, smacked his ass, and he was desperate to leave, complaining that should have been someone else coming up in the corner, and there he was. Stone Cold Steve Austin. They had a little moment where Rock told him to bring it like they did in the past, and they were cool. The next match was between Randy Orton and CM Punk, a feud that CM Punk asked for in storyline. He cost Orton the title, and this led to the return of the true Viper Randy Orton, the one that would wreak havoc and punt everybody in sight. Ironically, this feud started because Orton punted Punk in 2008 and cost him the title, so he's out to retaliate, but Orton wasn't going to make it easy. Right out of the gate, Punk tried to go after the injured leg, and Orton's intensity allowed for him to take the edge early on due to this. CM Punk, though, was a master tactician. All he had to do was goad him to the outside and go after the knee. There's a lot of questions surrounding whether or not Orton could hit the punt, and in the ring, Punk goes to the crossbody. Orton had to buy some time time, but Punk was going all in. He had the clear edge and even found some time to mock the Apex Predator. The Second City Saint, though, had things wrapped up and was ready for the GTS. Orton counters, but as he goes to the RKO, he gets kicked in the face. As Punk goes to the top, Orton knocks him down and hits the superplex, but even then, that leg was a huge problem, and all it took was one touch from CM Punk and he was back in it. He locked in a figure 4 on the post, and Punk was on the verge of being disqualified, but he gained a lot from this, because a damaged leg meant that he had a better chance of winning. Back in the ring, Punk was locking in holds, and he didn't do much here, but the Viper found a little opening. In the midst of all this, CM Punk managed to lock in the Anaconda Vice. What made this issue worse was that he was unable to use the bad knee to escape and had to adapt. Orton sent Punk into the post and hits the DZ. He's lining him up for the RKO when he realized, hey, I should punt him. But just as he goes for it, the leg gave out and Punk had a bright smile on his face. He wasted too much time though, or caught Orton off guard with the counter to the RKO. Punk's excited, he's happy, but then he goes to the springboard and boom! RKO. 1, 2, 3. Good match. Similar to the opening, they told a good story here with the leg. Orton had been injured in storyline and was relying on adrenaline for the most part. Punk looked extremely intelligent and had a lapse of judgment here for Orton to capitalize and hit the RKO. They should have gotten more time though, because it would have made things even better. But it is what it is. You know, these two guys were talented and they were primed for a special year, which when you look at it from this time period was very unexpected for CM Punk. But still, they got to shine a bit here, and it was definitely one of the bright spots of WrestleMania, although they deserved a little more time. In the back, The Rock confronted John Cena's #1 fan, Pee Wee Herman. He used Mean Gene to demonstrate how goofy John Cena looks, and this convinced him to join Team Bring It. The next match was between Michael Cole and Jerry the King Lawler, with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special referee. Oh man, did anyone ask for this? I just want to know, did anyone ask for this match? Okay, Booker T and Jim Ross were brought out to observe this match. I wouldn't even call it a match. But anyways, for months, Michael Cole had a bias towards The Miz. His attitude towards other wrestlers was becoming more apparent, and after the King faced The Miz for the title, he cost him the match. And thus the feud was in full swing. Cole came out with the full gear, made fun of Jerry Lawler for having his first WrestleMania match in the year of 2011 here, and he, Cole, isn't a wrestler, and it didn't take him long to get the match. He even said that the fans are going to proclaim him the new Mr. WrestleMania. His party was quickly spoiled with the arrival of Stone Cold and Cole. He finally realized that the lights were too bright and refused to wrestle. He was claiming he was warming up though. Austin decided to ring the bell and the King went at it. He dropped Swagger and Cole's apology went about as well as this match. He was beaten and battered in his own cube, but it was slow. Like bro, Swagger finally came in behind Austin's back and capitalized. He even locked in the ankle lock. Stone Cold's 10 count was slower than the match. Actually, that's an over-exaggeration, but it was slow. Cole goes to work, he almost screwed up the Swagger splash, and he was isolating the leg. Takes his straps off and locks in the ankle lock, as they called it. But things turned around for the King. He was stomping a mud hole, and Austin was very loose with the rules. Swagger threw in the towel, but Austin and the King thought otherwise. He complains about this, and boom, stunner. Michael Cole, though, was in a worse predicament. The King goes to the top, drops the fist, and even then he wanted the match to continue. Funny enough, on this earth, he was one of the only people that felt that way. He locked in the ankle lock and Cole was tapping, but Austin was very slow with that. Those two celebrated the victory and Booker wanted in. He does his little spin-a-rooney and drinks some beer, but Austin had to drop him with a stunner. All is good. Cole gets his ass beat. The King gets his victory at WrestleMania, but then they hear this stupid-ass notification, and the anonymous GM reversed the decision because of Austin's officiating. So Michael Cole is the winner. JR was fuming, even Austin was pissed. So the King decided to grab Josh Matthews, who was a mere messenger, and Austin stunned him for making the announcement. This match had zero right to go on as long as it did. It should have been shorter than that tag team match, but they went out there, and I don't know exactly, but it felt like 20 minutes. I could have gotten a lot done in that time. I could have added to that AEW video I've been promising for weeks, but I decided to watch this match. It was that bad, and the problem comes down to the fact that they treated it like a marquee WrestleMania match. Like, no one's asking for this. 2 minutes max is what this match deserved, especially because Michael Cole was in the ring. And with that ending, the feud wasn't even over. They extended it. But hey, Jerry Lawler got paid $130,000 for this match, so I'm sure that he wasn't too mad about this one. And the match was trash. It's bad. All that. At least this match followed up. The next match was a no-holds-barred match. The Undertaker faces Triple H. This match had been expected. After Shawn Michaels' retirement at WrestleMania 26, I knew this match was going to happen as a kid. It made too much sense. And other than Triple H, Sting was a choice, but he refused to sign. So there wasn't much else. There was Wade Barrett and Sheamus. Personally speaking, I prefer to see these two legends face off once again because anything other than Triple H was not going to be on par with the grandeur of an Undertaker WrestleMania match. Barring Sting, of course. Shawn Michaels had a subtle involvement in this feud. He knew what both men were all about, and Triple H in particular felt like he was the one to break the streak. Same with all the other guys, but with Triple H, it feels different. I don't think somebody would be shocked to hear it was Triple H who ended the streak here. They would be shocked to see The Undertaker lose when they see his opponent they'll get it. The game, of course, had a special entrance with Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. The Undertaker's entrance, of course, felt special. It was very grand. It befit WrestleMania. Okay, so the bell rings. Triple H immediately goes on the attack, and his aggression was somewhat withstood by The Undertaker. And on the outside, The Undertaker was already clearing the announce table. Triple H launches Taker into the coal mine, and he started staring at him like he threw a cucumber or something. The Undertaker struggled to gain consistency here, and Triple H was just more in tune with the match itself. The dead man at times felt like the underdog. His pedigree attempt on the announce table, though, wasn't to be. That backdrop seemed to have done a number on the game, and The Undertaker decided to dive over the top rope, much to the crowd's enjoyment. Triple H rebounded with a brutal spine buster through the announce table, and these guys were wrestling like it was their final match. They gave no worry to their bodies. They were going all out, and The Undertaker was certainly feeling the effects of it. But even a broken Undertaker was capable of hitting a choke slam for a near fall. They attempted their finishing moves, but neither had the chance, and instead, Triple H hit the spine buster, which almost got him the victory. He brought in a chair only to walk into a boot, leading to The Undertaker using that very same chair before taking a pedigree. 1, 2, no. The match lacked blood or any type of attitude era violence, but it really looked and felt taxing. The Undertaker rebounds at the last stride, and once again Triple H kicked out. And there it is, the Tombstone Pile Driver. 1, 2, no. He wanted to do the very same thing on the chair, but Triple H hit a DDT, and at this point, the match took a lot out of both men, and I don't doubt that's legit. Like, these guys may have been selling well, but it's more likely in my mind that they were absolutely spent and exhausted from having a match like this. And there's the pedigree. 1, 2, he kicks out. He follows up with another one, and again, The Undertaker kicked out. Triple H was starting to doubt himself. This man refused to stay down, and it was to his own detriment. He was hurting himself trying to save the streak, and to make matters worse, Triple H brought in that chair and started swinging. These chair shots were taking the life out of The Undertaker, and Triple H was shouting for him to stay down while repeatedly blasting him. Some of the fans started booing because of Triple H's intensity, and this streak was doing a number on both men, even more so on The Undertaker, who was almost unable to compete. Triple H was so wrapped up in the streak that he violated a WWE rule by blasting him in the face. This was something Triple H and The Undertaker had planned before the match, and as a result of this, they were fined. The game knew that there was only bad to come out of this match if it continued, and was continuously shouting for him to stay down. He provoked Taker and hit the Tombstone Pile Driver, and the shock in the arena was noticeable. And if there was any moment for the streak to end, surely it had to be here, because it mirrored the Shawn Michaels and Undertaker sequence from the previous year. The Undertaker was defiant in the face of the game, who just wanted to end that streak more than anything. 1, 2, no. And the crowd was all in. They were pretty quiet for the last few minutes because of the direction the match had gone, and Triple H was desperate. So he brought in the sledgehammer. All of a sudden, he finds himself in Hell's Gate, and to make matters worse, he dropped the sledgehammer. He was scrambling to find it, but to no avail, so instead, he had to fight out of the hold. Somehow, the sledgehammer is in his hands again, but he was losing himself, and with that, The Undertaker emerged victorious. Damn, they told a great story out there that easily stood out compared to the other matches. It was a battle that Undertaker was clearly not prepared for, and Triple H, in the storyline, he was the one who was more into the match. He had more control, and the way they constructed the entire thing was incredible. The Undertaker was rarely seen in this state. He was defenseless, almost unaware of the match, and Triple H looked extremely dangerous, like a guy that would end the streak. And I remember as a kid, when I checked the results of WrestleMania 27, I was stunned. They had this exact image of Triple H on the screen, and I really thought the streak ended. But it didn't, and the story set up a rematch. Afterwards, The Undertaker suddenly collapsed, and it was a situation where Triple H technically won the match because he walked on his own accord. Best match in the show because they had the time and they made the most out of it. I mean, it's a Triple H match, what do you expect? But yeah, like, Triple H's matches sometimes go too long at WrestleMania, but this one I felt like fit the story with The Undertaker fighting for his streak. It made sense for them to go as long as they did because The Undertaker WrestleMania is 99 overall, so yeah. The next match was a 6-person tag team match. Dolph Ziggler and Lay Cool faced John Morrison, Trish Stratus, and Snooki. Snooki's inclusion in this match is absolutely random, but then you realize it's WrestleMania. Now, unlike a bunch of celebrities WWE bring in, 2011 was when Jersey Shore was very big. The show had a very strong chokehold in the pop culture world, and naturally WWE is going to want a celebrity at WrestleMania. So they chose Snooki. The other participants were put in for their contributions throughout the year, barring Trish Stratus, of course. The heels quickly attacked to gain a slight advantage, and Snooki slapped the hell out of Ziggler. She slapped him so hard that he got himself thinking that this was a good look. Lay Cool had some problems amongst each other, and it showed here. Trish and Michelle start things off. Stratus showed off her athleticism, but Michelle was straightforward. She wasn't messing around. These two were really aggressive with each other, and there was more drama between Lay Cool. So Trish decides to hit the chick kick. Dolph breaks the fall and takes a Starship Pain, and in the ring, Snooki hits the handspring elbow after getting booed. The fans were shocked, and she splashes Michelle McCool for the win. Okay, that happened. So apparently they were supposed to have a longer match, but Triple H and The Undertaker went too long. This greatly upset Snooki, not to the point where she was pissed or anything like that, but she felt like she had a bit more to offer. And in addition, the likes of Trish Stratus, Dolph Ziggler, they were supposed to do more. It's really a filler thing that nobody really talks about, and Snooki's appearance was nice and all, but very insignificant. And it also doesn't help that the drama unfolding from this match was more interesting. Now, Trish Stratus' appearance wasn't loved by all. John Morrison had a problem with it, feeling his girl Melina belonged in the match more than somebody who wasn't even on the roster. So he wasn't really cool with Trish Stratus. She spoke about this in an interview in 2019, and I quote, "We had a little conversation in the back. It wasn't a little conversation, actually. It was the first time I actually, we were passionately talking about it. But basically, I was like, you just stole a moment from a performance. Whatever you feel about me, maybe you think you're not cool with me, which is fine. I don't mind, but we're performing it tonight. We're partners, and the crowd was excited about us as a team, as a partnership. And you've taken that moment from the fans. And it's like, for what, right? You can wait 5 seconds later. I'm gone tomorrow." And he went into this whole thing and said, "Well, you've taken a spot from another superstar by being here." And I was like, nope, I have not taken a spot from someone. I was assigned the spot. I'm on this show called Tough Enough that airs after this Raw, and they brought me back for that. So it kind of got a lot of big buzz, and then eventually he got released, and everyone thought it was because of that incident, but who knows, whatever. It wasn't obviously because of that incident. You know, John Morrison was burnt out with WWE. That's a different story. The whole thing in general was a weird thing. Melina at the time was a heel, so even if Trish wasn't around, the spot would have went to Eve or somebody else. And the main event, The Miz defends the WWE Championship against John Cena. The Miz was in the WrestleMania main event. 9 months earlier, he was a rising star, and it goes to show that anything can happen. His rapid rise to the top in 2010 was memorable. He had great mic skills, treated himself like a star, and when you see these elements, it's no wonder why WWE pushed him, because this was a guy that they could rely on outside of the ring. As the champion, his title reign wasn't penciled in to last until WrestleMania. He just managed to get there by luck. It also helped that The Rock was around, because having The Rock in this storyline meant that The Miz was going to be champion. Others weren't going to be very excited about working as the third wheel in a storyline for the WrestleMania main event. With that said, he was a third wheel in the storyline, no doubt about it. It was more about John Cena and The Rock rather than John Cena and The Miz. Okay, they played a great video package of The Miz proving the doubters wrong, with Nas's Hate Me Now playing in the background. It was very cool and fit the vibe, because this man, despite his look, was a true underdog. He fought through without much help and got to this point. It makes sense that they'd play Hate Me Now, because there was a lot of guys that bullied him in the back a couple of years earlier. He was now at the top. His entrance featured some inflatables, and John Cena, on the other hand, had a video package with DMX's Prayer 3 playing in the background. So they got Nas and DMX. It was a belly reunion. And to top it all off, he had a gospel choir. John Cena had the new red shirt, had the gospel choir, he had DMX, he was balling. Personally speaking, I remember thinking John Cena would win here. In hindsight, though, The Miz's title reign didn't have anywhere else to go. You know, like when you look back on it, after The Miz and John Cena, it was basically a dead end. With that said, these two started off casual. Cena finds the edge. The Miz had to turn this into a fist fight in order to gain some sort of advantage. His aggression had done a number on Cena, who was phased, and when looking at the action, it wasn't hot. The challenger started fighting back. He hit a leg drop from the top for a near fall, and he bounces back with a boot to the face and does it yet again. The amount of kicks Miz was doing here was ridiculous. He has Cena's offense absolutely locked up, and once they re-enter the ring, though, it's a different story. He's building momentum, but just as he goes to the AA, Miz counters and hits the DDT. He follows up with a reality check and decides to expose the turnbuckle, which greatly benefited him here. Cena, though, managed to lock in the STF. Fans are booing, of course, and Alex Riley's attack leads to a skull-crushing finale. Cena kicks out, the ref gets knocked down, and boom! AA, but the ref's down. Riley blasts Cena with the briefcase. 1, 2, no. Miz's reliance on Riley almost cost him here as Cena hit the attitude adjustment. It looked rough, but the Miz kicked out. They brought on the outside, leading to the Miz landing on his head and suffering a concussion. The sound when he landed was absolutely cringeworthy. This led to the referee counting both men out, and the fans were pissed. It was going to be a draw in the main event of WrestleMania. That was bad. The Rock, though, came out. The anonymous GM sends a message, and he decides to read it for all of 2 seconds before pushing the laptop and restarting the match. He told them to take their awesome, their fruity pebbles, and shove them up their candy ass. The match is restarted. The Miz is lost, but he had luck on his side as Cena walks into the Rock bottom. 1, 2, 3. He doesn't celebrate for long because The Rock runs in and lays the smack it down on his candy ass. It was The Rock's showcase. He drops him the spine buster and hits the people's elbow to end the show on top. The best thing is the fact that the show was over. But about that match, it was very bad. Not just because of the action, but because it main evented. The action itself was so uninspiring, so boring, so dull, and if you gave the exact same layout to anybody else, you'd question why the match was even on the show. But it main evented, and that in a way makes it much worse than it is. Bad match. It was very bad. As I said, I could have used that time to do something else. We could have used that time to do that 2K23 review, the AEW video review, but no, we decided to watch this match. It was bad. Now, the Miz main eventing here was, as I said, it was kind of understandable because I doubt CM Punk in particular would have played third wheel in the storyline. Doesn't seem like something he'd accept, but I don't know. I'm just saying. Unfortunately for the Miz, he doesn't even remember this match due to the concussion he suffered during that barricade spot. What's also unfortunate about this main event is that it was basically a preview of WrestleMania 28. Matter of fact, half of this show was just used to promote WrestleMania 28 in Miami. So yeah. Alright, that's WrestleMania 27. This show was bad. The problem with the show comes down to the fact that, it was very inconsistent. You know, you'd see some amazing stuff like Triple H and The Undertaker, and then next you'd see some terrible Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler stuff. And in addition, some of the matches wouldn't look out of place on SmackDown. You know, like Cody Rhodes and Rey Mysterio, they had a SmackDown-esque match. B-level pay-per-view type stuff. Edge and Del Rio didn't have much time, but again, it's not World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania. The previous year had Edge and Chris Jericho going at it in a great match. That match was one of my favorite matches from WrestleMania 26. Yet here, it felt like a filler match in the way. And when you add all these elements, and the fact that the main event was absolutely terrible, a match that will have you regretting watching this entire show, it was a bad pay-per-view. Do I think it's overhated? Not much. Not much. I wouldn't think it's that overhated because you have to understand that this is WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, and half of the matches didn't feel like they belonged on the show despite their position. You know, like John Cena and The Miz, the quality of the match made it seem like it didn't belong on a B pay-per-view, let alone WrestleMania. So yeah, match of the night was clearly The Undertaker and Triple H. Outstanding match. I loved it. Some people didn't like it because it was slow, but I think it fit the vibe, it fit the style for both men. Man, the main event was bad, and if the main event was good, if the main event was a great match, the show wouldn't be as bad as it was. You know, this main event could have saved WrestleMania. It was just a way to promote John Cena and The Rock for WrestleMania 28, which wasn't a good thing. Alright, what'd you guys think of WrestleMania 27? Please comment down below. That's the first video. Make sure you hit the pedigree on the like button or perhaps the attitude adjustment on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.